Defense is doing pretty well in terms of yardage, but I'm sure you're not doing what you'd like in terms of sacks and takeaways. Do you at some point say, we got to change the risk reward, we got to start taking more chances, rushing more guys, or are you just at the point now where you're just trying to do what you've been doing better?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think I'm a firm believer too that takeaways come in droves, and you don't know when they're going to happen. You don't know when they're going to come, but it's something that we preach every single day. We practice and stress it every single day, and they'll come. They'll come. I'm a firm believer also. There's not some make-believe call that you can call to create a turnover. It's our job as defenders to take the ball away. We don't call them turnovers. We call them takeaways. And we're not taking the ball away right now. So now sometimes, obviously, within the call, if there's a breakdown on their part, sometimes takeaways happen a little bit more easier. But no, I don't think there's some magic call that you can call to create a turnover. It's our job as defenders, no matter if we're rushing 3, 4, 5, or 6, whether we're playing man or zone or zero. Takeaways are our duty to take the ball away.
Would you be maybe, not to give away your secret, but the condition of the secondary, how things are going back there, does that affect the risk you might take by sending extra people up front?
Why? What's going on with the secondary?
Well, you got possibly. I think you know that.
No, we're gonna, like I said, we've I've talked about this a few times up here with you guys. We take the approach that next man up. So we're not gonna have wholesale changes or all of a sudden do different things. I told you before, we don't have backups. We have starters in waiting, and when a starter gets banged up and can't go, it's the next man's responsibility to step up and step in with that group of 11 men and function as a unit. So no, we're gonna keep doing what we do and do what we believe in, and that's playing hard, playing fast, and again, keep tackling, keep stressing takeaways. We're not going to change anything that we're doing.
You touched on it a little bit, but what can the line do differently to bring more pressure, not necessarily just sacks, but just pressure in general on someone like Sam Bradford and the Eagles' offensive line that's only giving up 2 sacks?
Yeah. And I think and I'm not making excuses, I think we've pressured the quarterback fairly well. You look at the Miami game, you look at the St. Louis game. The St. Louis game was a big point of getting Foles off the spot. Now, you look at the final stat sheet, from a sack standpoint, it wasn't where you wanted, but we affected the quarterback. I think Eli did a great job on Thursday night, getting the ball out, quick 1, 2, 3 throws, which is going to be hard to pressure, when the ball's getting out of his hand. So, but no, I'd tell you, our whole D-line room would tell you, they're greedy. We're greedy. We want to sack the quarterback. We want to get after the quarterback. So we got to, affect the quarterback. Ultimately affecting the quarterback is by sacking him. But if we can pressure him, if we can hit him, if we can get him off his spot, if we can make him uncomfortable, that's all I care about.
Joe, along those lines and 2 individual players, it seemed like Kerrigan, even though he hasn't shown up in the box score, has been getting a little bit better, pushing the right tackle back last Thursday night several times into the pocket. And then also Will Compton at the inside linebacker spot. How did you evaluate him? What did you think of him for Perry?
You know what? I think, again, Ryan is, Ryan's his own toughest critic. He is extremely hard on himself. And he knows that and wants to play better. And by playing better from a statistical standpoint, Ryan Kerrigan plays his ass off every Sunday, every Thursday, every Monday, no matter when it is. He practices his butt off every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for us out on this field. So from an effort standpoint, from a want-to, from a trying standpoint, Ryan Kerrigan's fine. He's going to, again, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to be fine. I thought your second question with Will Compton, I thought Will stepped in and did a great job in Perry's absence. Again, kind of, the mantra that we tried to build is, you're not a backup. You're a starter in waiting. And Perry went down, Will stepped up, and I thought he did a fine job for us.
You said there's no sort of play call, hey, let's get a takeaway. But can you have a roster of defensive players who are better at producing takeaways than others?
Yeah, but again, I think, sure. Yeah, I think that's, you can argue that, but we're not going to change our mentality no matter, what starting 11, what guys we dress. We stress turnovers on a daily basis. And again, we use the term, we're going to take the ball away. We physically have to take the ball away, whether we're punching the ball out, hammering the ball out, raking the ball out. If the ball's in the air, we got to go find a way to get the ball when the ball's in the air. I don't care what 11 guys are out there. We're stressing it the same way, and we're preaching it the same way, that it's our job as defensive players to go take the ball away.
Is that stressing being received and being reflected in the play as far as you're concerned?
Oh, yeah, I think we're attempting to do it. We just got to, like I said, I think it's we're not going to change what we're doing as far as the approach that we're taking. And the players have bought into it. They're, if you guys were able to stay out on the practice field with us as practice goes on, it's something that not only the coaches are talking about, but the players are talking about, not just right now in week 4. I mean, it's been that way, back in OTAs. Takeaways, as you guys know, they change the game. Turnover margin is huge in the National Football League. So it's something that's stressed and talked about and practiced, and we're going to keep doing it, and they'll come. I'll see what I can do. I know some people. I'll see what I can do. I can't promise anything.
You guys have had a good rotation on that defensive line, playing against the no huddle, the kind of up tempo that Philadelphia likes. How do you make sure you still get that done? Yeah,
it's definitely. I mean, that's the whole theory behind it. It limits your rotation. When you do rotate, you got to rotate with what we refer to as urgency. Guys got to run on and run off. It's not one of those things where you can tap out and jog on and jog off. So, but that's the whole theory. Behind the up tempo. So, the one benefit that we have is when they sub, we can sub. But if they don't sub and we want to sub, that's the challenge with it. But that's something that we've presented to our guys. We actually prepared for that the Miami week. They didn't get into any of that, so it's something that we spent a bunch of time in the off season practicing and talking about and coming up with a system for. Just thinking that Miami was going to do the same thing to us. So, but it's definitely something that you have to be very, very conscientious of, because if you're not, they can bite you.
The Giants game was the first that you all have played where your offense didn't have a monstrous advantage on the ball possession, 38-minute range. Did you sense in any way that keeping your guys out there longer took any toll, or did it change?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if it would have been drastic, I think it was, what were they, 31? We were 29.
Right.
Is that what it was?
Yes, it wasn't radical, but
I think that's time of possession is huge. I'm a firm believer the best defense we can play is sitting over on the sideline drinking Gatorade. There's no doubt, and of course when you have those drastic spikes in time of possession, as defensive coaches, you love those games where, we possess the ball for 41 minutes and we only got to play defense for 19. Those are great. But, I don't think, if it would have been a huge difference, I would maybe sense that. But, I don't think that was a big deal. We still played well on third down. We got off the field on third down, which is always huge. But, it was right about even. But no, I'm totally for us winning the time of possession battle.
Sure. And then a quick one on your word distinction of turnovers and takeaways. Is what you're saying, you call them takeaways because it's something in your control that you do rather than wait for the other team to turn it over? Or, why are you
Well, sure, yeah.
sort of adamant on that
I think it's
distinction?
It's obviously your chances of hitting the quarterback and sacking him when you go zero coverage and you blitz 7 people, of course your odds of taking the ball away probably go up just because. But there's that's a reward, but there's a bunch of risks that go with that also. So that's where I'm a firm believer. There's no okay on my call sheet. All right, we need a takeaway, so I'm going to call this. We got to have the mindset no matter what the heck we call. We're always ball aware, and our job is to take that dang ball away and get it back for our offense. And we got to do a better job with that right now.
Everyone talks about this tempo, but going back to the pass rush, does Bradford get the ball out real quick from what you've seen? I mean, compared to what you've seen?
I think he does. He does. It's most quarterbacks in this day and age. They're going to get rid of the ball, and Philly does a great job of getting the backs out of the backfield. I mean, they got a guy like Sproles that can catch the ball, so they're not waiting around. They're getting the ball out. But I think the key thing is when you do have that perfect coverage called and there is nowhere for the ball to go and that quarterback has to hold the ball, whether he's trying to get rid of the ball or not, that's when, we always talk about, DBs winning the one-on-one coverage. Well, we put just as much emphasis on our D linemen, winning the one-on-one blocks. Maybe one guy's getting double-teamed on the line of scrimmage, but there might be 3 or 4 other guys that have one-on-one blocks, and, we got to cash in and win the one-on-one pass rush, just like we got to win the one-on-one coverage.
Quentin Dunbar, I mean, there's all kinds of corners available on the streets and then practice squad. What growth have you seen from him? I mean, 2 months ago he was a wide receiver.
Yeah, he's the number one thing. I mean, you guys have all seen him just walking by him. He has traits in the sense that, I mean, he's a big 6'2", long-armed kid. He really can run. He's a phenomenal athlete. He can change direction. And from the minute we moved him, he's shown daily improvement, not weekly or monthly improvement. He's shown daily improvement. So he's just a kid that's eager and hungry. And like I said, I think the thing that really gives him his chance is just simply his physical traits that he has. He's a big, long kid that can run. And those are good places to start when you're talking about an NFL corner.